Hey everyone, Bob here from One Foot in the Grave of White. Today we're going to be working on putting the plywood up on the walls in the trailer and building the false wall to block off the V-nose and the electrical area. So come on back and we'll get started on the project.
Shut up and sit down.
You're going to notice that there's a lot of things out of sequence, and that's because I was working on multiple projects at a time. I'm going to be starting to put up the plywood in my trailer. It's all insulated now. I'm going to get as much of the plywood in as I can right now and then come back and finish up the electrical. The plywood I'm using in the V-nose is 3/4 inch. The rest of the walls will be half, and the ceiling's going to be a tongue and groove cedar. The reason I'm doing 3/4 on the V-nose is so that since that's going to be walled off and used primarily as storage, I can go ahead and put my batteries, all my electrical up there, breaker boxes, fuse box, solar charge controller, inverter, everything like that's going to be up in the V-nose. With the 3/4 inch plywood, I'm able to screw everything to that. One thing you'll see me using is I basically made a track saw for my little cordless saw. I took a piece of 1/4 inch Luan that I had, and then I bought some PVC trim because that'll stay nice and straight. Screwed those two together, and then using the saw cut the excess of the Luan off. When I make a mark on the plywood, as long as I put the edge of the track saw right on that and clamp it down, I know I'm going to have the exact size that I need. It's a huge time saver. It makes things nice and square. It gives you really good control. We're going to get started on that. One nice thing about moving stuff heavy in a wheelchair, you come with your own dolly. Oh, the one thing I forgot to do, I forgot to measure where the wheel well is, so I got to cut out around the wheel well. We're gonna get our measurements, we're gonna get the boards cut out, and we'll be back in just a minute. First piece is up. I had to level the trailer out. Sorry about Archie. I had to level the trailer out so that when I put the wood up, I could level it. As you can tell, he's in the trailer. Archie, no. Go lay down. Good boy. Really, I just want to get this up so I can get the windows cut out so I can get the windows in and feel like I'm making progress again. The last few days have been really slow. I haven't been able to work it a whole lot in the morning. So it's been in the afternoon and evening. Like I said, it's just too dark in here or too bright with the lights on. The camera just blows out quite a bit with all the reflection off the insulation. I'm gonna take a few minutes break, go play with the dogs, and think about how I'm gonna do this. The window I'm not so worried about. I can always come in a little bit and I may have to take it down and cut that out. But again, I can cut that out with the saber saw. That's where we're at. First piece is up. That feels good. Definitely going to come up short in the corner over there. But like I said, I've got that false wall going up in the V-nose. It's going to be about 3 inches back towards the window when I put it in. And I think I can just splice a piece in and it'll look all right. I mean, it's going to all get painted anyway. And if I do the, hold on. If I do that splash guard with the aluminum, I think it'll look good. And then again, it'll cover, the cabinets will cover the bottom, the backsplash will cover this seam right here as well as the seam right there. And then up above, I was gonna put some cabinets up there, but I think I'm gonna just put some shelves. Haven't really figured that part out yet. That's one of those on the fly changes I may make. So it'll be covered. I mean, even if you did see that, it would be up above the window and not really very visible. And if I put a piece of trim over it, it'll be all right. We're gonna figure out how we're gonna do the window. Like I said, go take a little break, figure out how we do the window cutout and the other piece of plywood. Man, it's slow. It's definitely slow. Moving the camera around trying to film this takes a lot out of it. Having 3 dogs that are constantly wanting to play takes a lot out of it. You know, takes a lot of time. Got to figure out how I'm going to hold the upper ones into place while I screw them in. Again, one more thing, figure out as we go. Not, you know, don't do this a lot, so it's always a learning experience. Well, I got the window cut out. I committed a mortal YouTube sin, which was I didn't remember to turn the radio off while I was doing that, as well as cutting this piece out to go up all the way to the front. I'm gonna have to take it back down to cut out the window. That's what I did on the other one. So I only put a couple screws in this one to hold it. I might have to take a little bit off this corner. This board's not quite flat or pulled in all the way or something. It's bowed out. So this joint right here is really tight. I had to actually hit it in with a hammer. But the nice thing about hitting it in with the hammer was that it pushed it up tight against the other one. And as you can see, we're nice and level across there. And I got 2 screws in that side. I'm going to put one up front here, take the cardboard off the window, and trace out where I need to cut the window out, take the board back out, cut it out. I may try to figure out a way that I can do it just in the trailer. We're going to go from there. I'm going to go get the cardboard off the window on the outside. We'll get one more screw into that corner so that it holds it, so when I trace it out, it's fine. Okay, we got the cardboard off. I did this on the last window as well, and it worked out well. The plywood's pretty well pulled in. So what I'm gonna do though, just in case, is put these clamps on here as best I can to keep, you know, to get the wood right up against the window frame. I've got a few screws in, not too many. Then I just take my marker and I'm going to trace right where the window goes, right on the edge of the frame, since I know that's where, I know that's a good spot. That's exactly how it fits in here. I put some insulation in the corners. You can see it up here. It's kind of caused me a little bit of problems on the corners, but if I have to, what I'll do is I'll take a sanding wheel like I did before and just round the corners out a little bit more to get them so that the frame fits in flush. So need to finish marking out this corner, and we're gonna take this board back down. We'll get it back on the sawhorses, and then I'll get that cut out. We'll get this screwed back into place. Right now I'm not going to put all the screws in, I don't think. I need to really get the flat heads because I want to screw at least one or two spots. This one maybe only one, I don't know yet. But I want to screw it to the frame, into the frame underneath where the trim piece goes, the trim ring goes on the inside. So it'll be, the screw should be hidden by the trim ring, and the trim ring will fit flush over top of it. Then that will give me the ability to have it held up against the window and the plywood not trying to bow in and push against the window. There's a little bit of a gap right here right now, even with the clamps on there. It's about, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of an inch. So I think one screw in there will help hold it into place and be good. Let's hope, fingers crossed. All right, I did a time lapse of me taking the board down and cutting it out, but it only lasted like 2 seconds. Probably you won't see it, but I just took the board out, put it back on the sawhorses, cut right on my Sharpie line, and it looks good. But I'll definitely have to put a screw right in here where the window is. Sneaking suspicion that what I'm going to wind up doing is taking right at the top and right at the very bottom, putting another screw in just to make sure that the board doesn't try to warp out and pull away. But yeah, I had to pound that in So that's a good tight fit, and we're right on with the window. I think we're going to try to put up the top board on the next side. That one I'm gonna have to cut the full length of it so that it'll fit. The trailer's only 7 feet tall. You know, you got two 4x8 sheets of plywood, so I'm gonna have to cut the top one down. I may leave it just a touch short of the top, like maybe 1/8 of an inch, so where all the wiring for the clearance lights. Although I guess I may have gotten lucky, because on this side of the trailer, the only place that there's a light that I have to worry about is right up here. And then I think the one in the very back, I might be able to get away with not having to cut that out. We need to do, well, let's check our handy dandy book. 94.5 tall, or 34.5 tall. That will leave me 1/8 inch from the top. Get this one measured out, get it installed, which will actually block off that window quite a bit, which is good, because with the way the wind is today and the temperatures are just dropping, it's freezing cold. Archibald, no bark. Dogs. What are you gonna do with them? So I'll get this laid out and we'll come back when we start cutting. That looks pretty good. The board's up there. It fits really well. I've just got a very small gap at the top. I don't even think I'd be able to get insulation in there. It's probably, I don't think it's the full 1/8 of an inch that I thought it would be. I'm also having to work on the false wall up front so that you can see that it's going to be about 30 inches off either side with a 36-inch door. And that will hide all the electrical as well as give me some storage. I'm having to do the header and the false wall up front first so that I have something to nail the ceiling to. Really, it's gonna make it a lot easier to get in. And I did do a lot of measurements, so I knew exactly where that wall had to go before I built my cabinets. I've got all the measurements laid out, and I do have a little bit of wiggle room by about 1 inch or 2. So the one cabinet that I had that was gonna be 8 inches wide, that's where I can make up or change whatever I need to for the distance so that all the cabinets fit. Should be a pretty easy fix, and you know, it's nice to have a little wiggle room. Measurements don't always work out perfectly, especially when I'm doing them. I'm building the false wall so that the framing's only going to be 1.5 inches thick, so I'm going to be turning the 2x4 sideways and using some 2x2s on the ends so I can screw it into the walls on the side. I'm building it in 3 parts, the 2 sides and then the header over the door. That way I think it'll be easier for me to put up. And then I'm going to be insulating it. Since it's 1.5 inches thick, I'll be insulating it with that 1.5 inch foam, which should be good to keep that area nice and isolated. Put the framing together. I'm going to be using my Craig jigs. I got 2 different ones. I've got the bigger one, but this one's good for a lot of stuff, but since I'm going to have to be coming in on this side of the board, that's not going to work very well. You can't put the board in there. So I have this one that is a 3-part. So you can do 1, 2, or have it extra width. So it's pretty nice. And this one is adjustable so that I can bring it out to the 1.5 inches. Clamp it on the edge of the board like so, and be able to do the pocket hole screws. So that's what I'm going to do. I was going to nail it, but trying to nail stuff by hand is kind of a pain and keep it good and square. I'm going to use the screws, plus I think it'll be a little bit stronger as going down the road, bouncing around. I don't know if the nails would come loose or not. Probably not. It'd probably be okay, but I've got the screws, I've got the jigs, so this is the way I'm going to do it. All right, that's where we're gonna have to leave off on this video. I don't know if I lost the files or I just didn't record everything. Knowing me, I probably didn't record it. But I did the other two panels the same way as that one, using the Craig jig and then screwing it up, the framing all together. Skinned one side with plywood. We got the wall up into place, screwed it through the floor, the side walls, and then used some angle brackets to screw it to the ceiling. So it's good and solid. Went ahead and put the 1.5 inches of foam in it and skinned the outside. It's nice and solid. Next thing we're going to be doing is starting to work on the ceiling. That's going to probably be a very short video because there wasn't a whole lot to it. Mostly was time lapse and repetitive. I mean, seriously repetitive. So hope you got something out of it. If you did, you did. If you didn't, you didn't. If you did like it, go ahead and do all that YouTube shit. You know, like, subscribe, share, or don't. It's not going to bother me none. All right, just wanted to say have a good day. See you again soon. Well, maybe. Depends on how long it takes me to edit the next video.